Today I'm hitting the reset button on Major League Baseball, putting every player into a fantasy draft. The entire league is being sent into chaos because superstars like Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani no longer play on their teams, but the big twist in this video is after the draft, I have 5 seasons to turn the lowest budget team into a dynasty. Going into the draft, I do not see the A's anywhere near the top, so clearly the CPU wants to make this difficult for me, as we are at pick 26 and there goes a ton of young talent. To make this more interesting, I'm only allowing myself to make the first selection, but thankfully there is some good young talent still on the board like Ozzie Albies, but after considering all the options, the best choice is Luis Robert Jr., who is young with a potential and has 4 years left on his deal. He is the only guy I'm drafting, so it's time to simulate. So here's our first look at the team, which is not great, but I think I can work with it, especially since going down, we have Elly De La Cruz. I'm excited to have a future superstar, while we also have some good prospects at the top in Aiden Miller, James Wood, and Drew Gilbert, but it really falls off right after that. Around the rest of the league, we're definitely seeing some interesting results with Aaron Judge on the Orioles, Corey Seager on the Giants, and Shohei Ohtani now plays for the Reds, but our first series is against the Guardians. There are 2 runners on for Zach Geloff, who actually stayed on the Athletics, but unfortunately he could not deliver, so we need our bullpen to step up if we want to win our first game of the video. Our starting rotation is pretty lackluster, as our ace is an aging Nathan Eovaldi, but at least our relief options sort of make up for it, while I'm very excited that our closer is Andres Munoz. We're in the bottom of the 9th, where 23-year-old Luis Garcia popped up, so here's Mauricio Dubon, who hits lefties pretty well, but not this time as he chops it to short. The bottom of our lineup was unable to rally, and to make things worse, we would get swept by the Guardians in our first series, who definitely have a more balanced team with Nolan Jones and Logan Webb. My goal in this video is to have one of the best 5-year stretches ever, creating a team that can win 2 World Series and beat the single season win record. In order to complete these challenges though, we need our young talent to improve this season and to acquire more through the draft, and lucky for us, Oakland has the number 4 pick, which is going to be very important. I'm surprised because after getting swept, we've really turned things around, and after a week of scouting, I found a pretty good third base prospect, but I think I might have just found my favorite player, Christopher McMahon, because look at that power. I am very surprised we have a winning record, and now we're in a tied 9th inning game against the Cardinals, who have Fernando Tatis, and we're able to get out of the inning. James Woods is one of the most important players for us to develop, but unfortunately, he popped up, so we're in extras where Tatis strikes out again, and it's very interesting, him and Bogarts stayed on the same team. As the video goes on, I'm excited to track which players ended up where, but right now we're just looking for a walk-off, and all we need is a sacrifice fly, as this was not a great swing from Garcia, but it's still gonna get the job done. The runner is heading for home, so the Oakland A's stay above 500. Here's a reference for the fans of my Pickles series, but we might have found our Randy Trout, as McMahon is a 23-year-old high-floor first baseman, so even though I prefer a younger player, it is nice to have found the safest pick in the draft. I'm surprised we're in 2nd for the West, and it's actually funny the Rangers are above us because they're ranked 23rd. Even after the fantasy draft, Zach Geloff has remained on the Athletics, and he has been our best player, but it's also nice to see good numbers from 25-year-old Davis Schneider along with James Wood, but I'm really hoping that Elly De La Cruz can turn things around. We can take over the division lead against the Texas Rangers, and with a tie game and the bases loaded, Mauricio Dubon just came up with a grand slam. For some reason, our most productive hitters are at the bottom of the lineup, but maybe that says more about how bad our offense is as Wood singles. Now we need to hope De La Cruz turns it around because he's our most important player. Going back to scouting, I might have found an absolute gem in Leroy Worth, and just like I was hoping for, our Discovery Scout found a pretty good pitcher. It's the middle of June and we got jumped by the Astros, but looking at their roster, this does not surprise me with a great offense led by Mike Trout, and they retained Justin Verlander. It is time for the draft, and if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I am against taking pitchers in the first round just because MLB The Show produces so many of them. So at number 4 overall, this is a very easy selection. On the second to last week of scouting, we uncovered Antonio Dorda, who's an elite hitter with both a high ceiling and high floor, so he's going to be our first selection. If he wasn't on the board, it was either going to be Robbie Ryan or Chris McMahon, but now in round 2, my top option, who I showed you earlier in the video, is on the board, so we are taking Leroy Worth. As always, there are some great pitchers on the board, but you can't get tempted because there's always a few that drop to round 5 and 6. But now with our next pick, I'm staying true to my board with Vladimir Urban, who has such a high potential range that I didn't even scout him. Now after resorting my board, it's our next selection, and I'm stuck between 3 guys, but I think I need to go with the younger option in Harvey Powell. Just like I said would happen, some very good pitchers have fallen down the board, and even though he's 23, I cannot pass on Ryan's potential range. There are still some great options available in round number 5, so I'm going to end the draft draft with 3 pitchers, starting with Mitchell Caruso. All 4 of my options are available in round 6, but I really like Greg Long, and he could play right away. I am beyond happy with that draft, especially because our team has fallen off a little bit in recent weeks, as we finished the first half at 46-52, so we need to think about making some moves. Also, we did have 2 All-Stars with Andres Munoz and JT Realmuto, and coming out of the break, Munoz earns another save. At the deadline, we're 52-57, and since we're not making the playoffs, it's time to sell on some older players. Kyle Gibson is the first guy I'm dumping for a pitching prospect, and now we're bringing Tyler Soderstrom back to Oakland in exchange for Nathan Eovaldi. Instead of trading Shane Bieber, I'm gonna extend him, and finally, we're gonna make a move for Robbie Snelling. Now that it's September, we can finally see our draft picks, and that is a lot of blue coming in. This is exactly why I've been telling you guys to draft position players first, because you can still find some really good arms late in the draft, but the same cannot be said for a quality position player. We are almost done with season 1, and the reason it's going so fast is because we're not a playoff team, but with our first draft and some trades, we have set ourselves up to be a great team in the future. This season has been all about developing our young talent, and here's one of those players, Davis Schneider, who's gonna fly out. We are trying to rally in the 9th against a very interesting Blue Jays team led by Michael Harris and Nolan Arenado, but hopefully Wood and the rest of our offense can come up big, and that was a great play at first. This has been a very interesting season for Elly De La Cruz, who is the core of our rebuild, but the last out in this game. Ever since that loss, we have struggled to find our footing, which was definitely expected from the worst team in the league, and we would drop to 4th place in our division, but we're looking to end the season on the right note. In our final game of the year, we broke a 9th inning tie to beat Seattle, and seeing the improvements of our top prospects has me very excited about the future. 78 wins is much better than I expected, but with 4 years to go in the rebuild, we are nowhere close to completing either of the challenges, so this needs to be a big offseason. I think this is the most active the Athletics have ever been in free agency, as this team has completely changed, but since Juan Soto still hasn't signed at the end of the offseason, I decided to throw him a total joke offer. I'm also planning to make a couple trades before the end of the offseason, and there's no way, man, how does that even happen? I have never seen Juan Soto have no market to the point where he signs for pennies with the Athletics, but going back to those trades, we're gonna add some more firepower with Spencer Torkelson, who's gonna replace Nathaniel Lowe, who we moved for Bo Naylor. In 1 year, we have gone from the worst to probably the best team in baseball, and look at all the young talent that we have on this team. It is finally time to see what kind of talent we have in season number 2, and oh boy, Spencer Torkelson, goodbye baseball. He might not have the highest overall right now, but he does have very high potential, which is definitely gonna help him down the road, but if he's already hitting home runs, then he's off to a very good start, and we are very lucky Aaron Judge didn't go yard. Judge has teamed up with Pete Alonso in Baltimore, and unfortunately Munoz left another slider over the plate to score a run. That means we're tied up in the 9th inning, and Soto should have launched that, so unless Elly De La Cruz can get aboard, we're going to extras, but we still have a chance. Here's Alex Verdugo, who we signed in the offseason, who sneaks this up the middle to keep this rally going, so it is all up to Luis Robert Jr., who is faced with a full count. The runners go as he smoked this pitch, but it's right to the infielder. It is still so nice to see an improved offense, as we're back to Spencer Torkelson, who has a chance to walk it off, and he is going to do exactly that with his 2nd home run of the game. This one is going to win it. What a great offseason trade to get him, and we're in 1st place after the 1st month. Seattle is right on our tails though, so we need as many wins as we can get, and here's Anthony Santander breaking a tie in the top of the 9th. We have already seen our offense come through in the clutch in so many games this season, but this rally may not be done with David Schneider going off the top of the wall. That was so close to a home run for Schneider, who's having a great year, but maybe Garcia can score him, getting his 4th hit of the game, going the other way to make this a 2-run game. Andres Munoz was able to close it out, so it's been great to see our offense led by Juan Soto come alive, as De La Cruz is also enjoying a breakout season, and so far in scouting, we found a few position players that I'm hoping can drop to number 11. We're now a contender, but we still have a lot of work to do, because even though we're pulling ahead in our division, we are not close to being on pace for 116 wins, and we just got so lucky. That was a crazy web gem at first, and should have been a double play, but the White Sox are able to get it. Down 1 in the 9th, they're looking to close us out, but Bo Naylor delivered that 115 off the bat, so here's Elly De La Cruz enjoying a breakout year. The tying run is at first, and that was very close, as he's faced with a full count, but there's the changeup. He was just trying to do too much there, and now Alex Verdugo flies out, so Juan Soto is our last chance. I was shocked we were able to get him in free agency, but unfortunately, we were a tad late on that pitch, so we took a tough loss to Chicago. I can already tell that this draft class is nowhere near as loaded as the last one, so we might be in a little bit of trouble long term, and I'm kind of worried we're not going to have any good first round options at 11. Just like last year, I hope our discovery scouts can come through. But right now, we have bigger things to worry about because we're suddenly losing a lot of games. Just like that game against the White Sox, we're trailing by 2 in the 8th inning, but here's Anthony Santander, so at least we're gonna make this an easier 9th inning. I might have spoke too soon because our bullpen's struggling, so we desperately need a double play to get out of the inning, and apparently ask and you shall receive. We played this Blue Jays team last season, and they have a very interesting team with Michael Harris and Nolan Arenado, and aside from building a super team, the most fun part of this video is embracing the chaos of a fantasy draft. Garcia was very lucky to get on base there, but Naylor just did the worst thing possible, so we have lost another close game. We're still up by 5.5 games, and despite having the best record in baseball, you all know that I'm eyeing that win record. Unfortunately, our discovery scouts dropped the ball, so this is officially the worst draft class I've ever seen, with only 7 position players I would consider taking. Of course, my favorite prospect went number 1, so at pick 11, I can either take a chance on this center fielder, or I can break my rule and draft a pitcher who I know is going to be good, and that is exactly what I'm going to do. We might be able to get Hampton in the 2nd round, so going against what I said last draft, this is going to be very pitcher heavy, as I'm taking Rex Elliott, who has fallen this far. Thankfully, in round 3, my top option, Ed McHugh, is here, and he has a guaranteed high potential, which we really need. This class is so bad that I only have a few options left in round 4, so I guess I'm gonna go with Brian Rodriguez here. We still got a few good players, but I'm ultimately not feeling that great about this draft, but thankfully in the last round, there's someone left on my board. After the first half of the year, it's nice to still see our offense performing, and at least we drafted some pitchers because our starting rotation could really use some help. Andres Munoz is once again an all-star, but the only other 2 guys who made it are Luis Rober and Juan Soto. At the deadline, I am making a huge move with the Mariners for Kyle Harrison, and speaking of the Mariners, I'm also going to make this trade for Bryce Miller. Now it's time for the scariest moment of the season as we're viewing our draft picks, and to be fair, that's not as bad as I expected, but still not very good. All 4 pitchers that we drafted had very high overalls, which could be very good trade bait for us, so I think I've done everything I can this season to improve this team as I'm simulating the rest of September, and we ended up winning 98 games. Our first playoff series is gonna be against the Rays, who have Matt Olson, George Kirby, and Alex Bregman, as we're up 2-0 in game number 1, and Davis Schneider's going the other way for a double. We're looking to make this save a bit easier for Munoz, but Rosario grounds out, so here's a 2-run cushion facing Matt Olson, who strikes out. Facing the heart of their order, Munoz is able to get it done, securing game number 1, and in game number 2, we win 7-4. Our first playoff series could be a sweep, but we're tied in the 8th inning, where Rober gets a hold of this one, but got too much air under it. Thankfully, Flaherty holds it down though, so we have another chance to pull ahead, and what an absolute dinger from Anthony Santander. Oh my! No doubt about that one from the big free agent signing, as this is absolutely feeling like our year to win our first World Series, as Torkelson's gonna drive another one deep into left center field. This one stays in the yard, and he has a double unless he decides to go for 3. I don't know why he's doing that. He is thrown out. Auto base running strikes again, and that is very unfortunate because a 2-run cushion would have been really nice. No matter what though, I believe in Munoz, and that was a beautiful slider to get strikeout number 1 and 2. All he needs is 1 more out, and we are moving on to the next round as Pena pops it up deep to center field, and the Oakland Athletics, after being the worst team a year ago, have won a playoff series. Next up in the ALCS are the Cleveland Guardians, who have a very good team, so I think this could be more of a problem, and we are already in a very close game 1. Tied up in the bottom of the 7th, it looks like this is going to come down to the wire, but after Geloff got aboard with a single, here is last game's hero, Anthony Santander, coming up huge with an RBI double. After playing with the terrible Portland Pickles, you guys have no idea how good it feels to have some hitters that can make contact, but obviously I would like to add some more run support for Munoz. Juan Soto's the best guy to get this done, but unfortunately, he grounds out. So once again, we are asking a lot from our closer, but give this man playoff MVP because that is another save to help us take game 1. We also won game 2, so surprisingly, we are still undefeated in the playoffs. I cannot reiterate how nice it is to have a bullpen that's actually good, as that makes a huge difference in these close games, and Torkelson is going for the toes. For the first time of the playoffs, we could be going to extras, especially because every time Elly De La Cruz has a clutch moment, I seem to blow it. Now this is very stressful because the Guardians can walk it off, Zach Thompson's unable to get to it, and Scott is gonna single. He is the winning run with 98 speed, so obviously we have to be more careful than ever. He's taking off for second, too easy. This man's gonna be in my nightmares, but we are 1 strike away. We just need Thompson to lock in as that's fouled off, and Merrill is trying to battle back in this at bat. If he singles, this game is over, but there's the punch out. I'm feeling much better now that we're in extra innings, but even if we win this game, we still have to get 2 more. There's another dribbler up the middle. This is a prime chance to get some runs on the board as Rober goes opposite field. That is is definitely going to stay in the yard but advance runners to the corners. We still have a chance as long as Geloff doesn't ground into a double play, and that was unfortunate, so we need Santander to save us. Faced with a 1-0 count, he is going to slap this one through the infield. That will score a runner, and the Athletics have the lead. Somewhere on the bench, Andres Munoz is shaking his head, knowing he doesn't get paid enough for this, but Spencer Torkelson is going to help him out, going Oppo Taco for a 3-run shot. We gave our closer the night off in an extra innings win, and I misspoke earlier when I said that we needed 2 more wins because we just need 1 to get the sweep. But facing Logan Webb, this will be easier said than done, at least until Juan Soto watched that one go beautifully to straightaway center. It was such a surprise we were able to get him on our team, but he has completely changed our offense as we have punched our ticket to the World Series. The Cardinals are going to be our opponent in the big game, and they have a very stacked lineup with Adley Rutschman and Rafael Devers, and they're definitely on fire, making it all the way here as a wild card team. This could be a very tough series, but we won the first game, and just a reminder that we have not lost a game in the entire playoffs. We are slapping our balls around in broad daylight as we please. In down 1, we really need to come up big, and there is another hit to the same spot. I cannot afford to blow another clutch moment with Elly De La Cruz, who got a hold of this one deep into right center field, going all the way back where it's gonna be caught, but a sac fly will tie the game. Just like we've done all playoffs, we are rallying, and Lord help this team facing Juan Soto with the bases loaded, and thankfully for them, that is just another sac fly. They may have lost the lead, but it could have been a lot worse, and Luis Rober is here to make their nightmares a reality, launching this one to center field for the 3rd, 4th, and 5th runs of the inning. This is the same difficulty I always play on, so I don't know why we're so on fire, but now we're up 2-0 in the World Series. I'm not sure how many teams have swept the entire playoffs, but we are just 1 win away in the World Series from making that a reality. However, we need a rally because we are down 1 run in the 7th, and with 2 outs, the bases are loaded for Luis Rober. This is not an easy righty-on-righty matchup, but he makes good contact the other way. Tatis Jr. going back where it is going to be caught. Also, I know a lot of you are going to give me crap for how I pronounce his name, but this is how the man himself says his own name, so I don't know what to tell you. There are very few things that I find more annoying than going up against Tyler Rogers in this game, because I don't know if it's just me, but that delivery drives me crazy. Thankfully, I was able to get a single through the infield, and there's another one from Luis Garcia, so maybe I've spoke too soon as we're having plenty of success. Patrick Bailey going the other way, that will drive in the tying run. Let's go. The Cardinals brought in someone else who doesn't throw like an alien. Juan Soto up the middle, that's going to be enough for a sacrifice fly to give us the lead. I've never seen a team rally from behind in late games so much, but Brandon Drury is going to tie it right back up with a line drive shot. It would be so fitting for my channel if a World Series sweep depended on extra innings, but with 2 outs in the 9th, at least we were able to get 2 runners on board. I am asking for Santander to be a hero just one more time right at Bryce Harper. Are you kidding me? I'd like to welcome everybody back to extra innings, where we always seem to end up on this channel, so I'd like to get this over with pretty fast as Juan Soto gets 2 runners on. All I need is 1 meatball of a pitch. There is no way I just got it. Zach Geloff deep into left field. That is a 3-run nuke. Asking you shall receive. He left that one right up in the zone, and it looks like we're gonna win our first World Series of the video. I'm not even gonna bring in Munoz. McAble's got this in the bag. A pop-up deep to left field, and that is going to do it, as it only took us 2 years to build a World Series contender, and I believe this is the start of a dynasty. By the way, if you are enjoying this video so far, please do a favor and drop a like on the video. It helps out a ton, and I still cannot believe that I get to do this for you guys as a full-time job. How freaking cool is that? We have already built a God Squad, and the crazy thing is, I think they have a lot of ceiling to get even better, because we have not even begun digging into this absolutely loaded farm system, and if you look at our top players, they are almost all under 30 years old. We really don't need much in free agency this year, but could you imagine an infield with Bo Bichette and Elly De La Cruz? That would be ridiculous, so I'm gonna offer him a contract. Simulating forward, we got him, so I'll probably end up moving Elly over to 3rd. Then my final move this offseason is a big one, as I'm turning McAble and a pitcher we drafted in the 5th round, along with our catcher Bo Naylor, into Francisco Alvarez. There is no doubt that was a lot to give up for a minor upgrade, but I'm committed to getting this 116 wins, and I really hope it pays off, because we did all of that to be tied on opening day with the Pirates, but here is Francisco Alvarez doubling into right center. This is a very interesting Pirates team that has Austin Riley and then a bunch of young hitters who really just haven't developed yet, so I really expected us to win this game big, and Bo Bichette's doubling into the same exact spot to score Alvarez. It is awesome that both of our newcomers came up big in the very first game of the season, and now there's runners at the corners for Luis Rober, who is unable to add any more. Regardless, this is easily one of the best lineups I've ever constructed, as there's course, one of the more underrated players, Anthony Santander, letting this hang in the air forever where the center fielder cannot get it, and he has an easy stand-up triple. However, apparently I spoke too soon as he's going for the inside the park home run. Dude, what are you doing? That was easily one of the most aggressive CPU base running decisions I've ever seen. So the Pirates just gave Torque an absolute freebie. Leaving an 85-mile-an-hour changeup in the middle of the plate is not a great move, and I can tell that this team is going places. We started the year 24-8, and I wish I could say I was surprised, but this was exactly why we went out and made those big moves this offseason. Also, here's what our division's looking like in Season 3, as the Mariners kept Julio, while the Angels have definitely seen better days, along with the Rangers, who are only slightly better. Our biggest threat for the division, though, are still the Astros, led by ALS players such as Mike Trout and Josh Young, and it seems their outfield is just as stacked as ours. I do not understand how we are not on pace to break the win record, because every time I look at this roster, it seems to be getting better and better. Of all people, Anthony Santander's in second for MVP, and also in second place is Shane Bieber for Cy Young. At this point in the video, I'm only drafting players for trade bait, and we're definitely gonna need to make some moves because my God Squad only won 111 games. I seriously do not understand how that's possible with the Cy Young winner and another finalist, but we even came up short despite these great years from Juan Soto, Spencer Torkelson, Ellie De La Cruz, and Anthony Santander. So seriously, how on earth did the Mariners win 116? I'm definitely a little disappointed that Francisco Alvarez only hit 235, but even then, the rest of our offense and our pitching rotation should have made up for it. We're taking on the Astros in the ALDS, and right now, they are really threatening to give us our first playoff loss of the entire video. How on earth did that just go over his head? That was a very weird play, but I can't complain because now there's a runner in scoring position, but Robert Jr. struck out. We are just 3 outs away from losing our first playoff game of the video, and Santander can't sneak it through. So maybe Spencer Torkelson can get something else going, and I'm just kidding, that's embarrassing. Ellie De La Cruz has not been clutch this entire video, but right now, this is when his team needs him most. He is on top of that one. Are you kidding me? The Oakland Athletics have finally lost a playoff game. That is very unfortunate, but this is a very good Houston team that just eliminated us. This insane roster couldn't even win the World Series, let alone win 116 games. And to make things worse, the team that beat us was our division rival. They ended up losing to the Cardinals, who we beat last season, so I'm calling in reinforcements with one of the best bullpen arms in the game and another potential starter. We have built a super team, and I would be very surprised if we didn't see better results this year. Yet somehow on opening day, we are being shut out through 7 innings. Players like Ellie De La Cruz might have a high overall, but I feel like they never perform when it actually matters, and I'd really like to see more than a 23 home run, 57 RBI season. Also, just a reminder that this is not a very good Blue Jays team, but finally Luis Robert Jr. going the other way has the power to send this over the fence. At least our God Squad is not getting shut out, but a 9th inning rally would completely redeem them, as the tying run is on first base, and Francisco Alvarez in one swing is going to walk it off on opening day. They had me worried for a second, but Alvarez, after a disappointing first season with Oakland, comes through for the big win. For the pride of my channel, I really need this to be a 116 win season, and so far we are off to a very good start. Also, Ellie De La Cruz heard me talking about him because he's in first for the MVP, while Kyle Harrison leads for the Cy Young. To tell you the truth, it looks like our entire offense is going off to start this season, which is very good considering what happened last year, and after eating a delicious dinner, I'm excited to go back to my save file, but as you can see, it cannot load because it is corrupted. At this point, I am so done with San Diego Studios because I just lost this entire universe, so everybody give your best regards to the save file in the comments section below because it is getting deleted forever. However, I could not end the video on this heartbreaking note, so I did the very best I could to get the team back very close to where it was before, and I guess the big issue with this is I couldn't make a fantasy draft, but I did find a pretty fun way to recreate all the chaos, and that was turning the trade frequency slider all the way up. Because this happened, this is going to be my last hurrah to win a World Series and 116 games, and at the end of May, we are very much on pace. I tried to get our player ratings as close as I could, and I think we did a pretty good job as we're getting very similar offensive numbers, but our rotation with the addition of Casey Mize has been absolutely dominant. At the All-Star break, I see our entire rotation in the top 10 for voting, which is absolutely crazy, but then Andres Munoz became an All-Star for the 3rd time alongside Bo Bichette, Luis Robert, and Juan Soto. We have a huge cushion in the month of August, and we have already won 100 games, so in September, I have no doubt we're gonna get 116 wins, and there it is. There is a 122 win season, and it is no surprise we dominated the awards. Juan Soto took home MVP, and then look at this, we had 3 Cy Young finalists. How is that even possible? impossible. It is very fair to say that in just 4 seasons, we have built an absolute super team, and winning the World Series would cement us as the best team of all time. After beating the Mariners' win record, we are taking them on in the ALDS, and we had no problem against them this season, but now the series is tied and Seattle's up 2 runs in game number 3. This is very bad because we left runners at the corners, so we desperately need to get back in this game, and there is a huge swing to straightaway center for Spencer Torkelson. I am very interested in seeing if we can recapture our playoff magic as Verdugo gets aboard, and now with the tying run on board, Davis Schneider is up and he mashes lefties as we have come from down 2 runs to take the lead against Seattle. We are getting perfectly set up to see Andres Munoz close out his former team, but we might not be done with De La Cruz up, and I forgot he's not clutch. Here is the legend Andres Munoz against Julio Rodriguez, who thankfully grounds out, and while a lot of this team came from trades and free agency, Munoz was one of the original guys from the fantasy draft. This is a little scary though, because the winning run is at the plate, and while this one is hit high and deep to right field, it is not going to go far enough for Seattle to steal this game. A huge comeback got us win number 2, so we are 1 win away from advancing, and there it is. Now we're up against Juan Soto's former team, the Yankees, who have definitely made a few good moves to add to their core, but to be completely honest with you, I do not think they have a chance. Maybe I spoke too soon though, because we're down by 1 run and Soto grounded into a double play, but obviously trailing in the playoffs is not uncharted territory for this team, so honestly, I am really not panicking. I will be a little worried. If we can't score Rober from second, please get back, and thankfully he does, but we're down to our last out as Geloff is gonna pop up deep to left field, so it is all gonna come down to the 9th inning. It is very hard to think about this team not scoring a single run as Alvarez's bat goes flying and he's out. That means that Bo Bichette is the final out of the game, and I'm not asking for a home run, but at least get on base, thank you. It was not pretty, but it keeps the game going for Elly De La Cruz, and I really want that last pitch back because we got a meatball. Suddenly we're down 0-2 in the count. I thought that was gonna be a slider. I just blew it. New York now leads 1-0 in the series, so thankfully we're gonna rebound to take game 2, game 3, and now it looks like game 4. If we want to win the World Series, we need to come up bigger in the 9th inning than we did last time, but it looks like that's gonna be easier said than done as that was a home run pitch to Alvarez. Now we need Casey Mize to not allow a walk-off, but after getting 3 guys on base, he blew the game. The Yankees have made this the closest playoff series we've had in a while, and of course, in game 6, we have another 3-3 tie in the 9th. So far so good though, as Edmundo Sosa got on base while Santander flies out, and after our previous success, we are having a lot of time clutching out. There's out number 2. We would go to extra innings where it's still tied up and Elly De La Cruz gets aboard, so I'm feeling pretty good about a speedster being the winning run and Rosario can't get it to drop. Shout out to Casey Mize for holding strong though, especially since he was the reason we didn't go to extra innings last game, and right now our power is gone. Even when we get the perfect pitches to hit, just like this one here, it always seems to be a fly out, so I just need someone from this loaded team to prove that they've been going to the weight room. Waldichuk is going to eventually make a mistake, and when he does, we need to capitalize. That is not it. But once again, our bullpen is keeping us alive. Our bullpen has given us way too many chances to not win this game, so in the 13th inning, can we properly thank them? Apparently not. Here is inning number 14 against Gregory Santos, and hit it off his foot. We're gonna get to base. Maybe a new pitcher is all we needed to win this game. That is hit well, going back to right center field. It sounded good off the bat, but unfortunately, it's popped up. This has turned into an absolute snooze fest as the side is retired again, but at least the Yankees offense has been just as bad. To be honest, I am very ready for this to be over, and finally there's a pitch to hit. Spencer Torkelson, a line drive into left center. It is gone for a walk-off home run. I wish that could have happened like 7 innings ago, but I will absolutely take it because the Oakland Athletics are going to the World Series. I am begging for this World Series to be easier, but we are up against an absolutely loaded Dodgers team with Nolan Jones, so in theory, this one should be pretty close, but we're gonna win games 1, 2, and 3. But if we're gonna get the sweep, we need to rally down 2 runs. Unfortunately, we're in danger of leaving 2 runners on base, and Elly De La Cruz got a hold of this one to center field, but of course, not enough power. Corbin Burns has a complete game shutout going against our superstar offense, but he got pulled after allowing a single to Juan Soto, and here's another. We have 2 runners on in the 9th inning and make it 3 as we single to the same spot, so this game is in Davis Schneider's hands as he blasts this one up the middle. That is going to score 2 runs and tie it up. It seems the Dodgers fell apart the moment we got to their bullpen, as Geloff goes the other way against our former reliever Joe Jimenez to score the go-ahead runs. Now we're 1 strike away from cementing ourselves as the best team in MLB history, and there it is. Andres Munoz delivers the final blow. So So after restarting the MLB and taking over the lowest budget team, we have built a dynasty with the Oakland Athletics. Once again, I'm sorry about the corrupted save data, but if you did enjoy this video, please drop a like and subscribe, and also click right here to see more of my content.